Are you ready to turn your investments into retirement income? Listen in as Jeremy Keil and his guests reveal ways you can make smarter retirement, investment, and tax planning decisions to achieve your ideal retirement. You will learn more about your money so you can feel better about your money and make better money decisions. Now, on to the show.
Welcome to Retirement Revealed. I'm your host, Jeremy Keil, and we're here to turn your retirement savings into a consistent income. And we are blessed today to have Lisa L. Baker, who is with Ascentim, and she'll be talking through how to leverage your strengths and passions to achieve massive growth. I think just about all of us want to have some massive growth. So thank you, Lisa, for coming on the show.
You're welcome. It is my pleasure to be here with you, Jeremy. I'm looking forward to a great conversation.
Yes, absolutely. And we got to talk a little bit earlier. I knew this was going to be great. So we wanted to get you on here talking to the people that listen to our show. But before we get into leveraging your strengths and passions, tell us a little bit about who you are.
Sure. So I am Lisa L. Baker, and I am the founder of Ascentim. Ascentim is a Maryland-based coaching practice. We offer coaching services to individual clients and businesses, also do group coaching. And I'm also a speaker. And so as often as I have an opportunity, I enjoy speaking to groups large and small around some of the topics that we'll talk about here today.
Yeah, you got it. And you create a process, you call it the GR.O.W process, and you use that to help people grow in 3 critical areas. Tell us a little bit about those areas, and then we can get into that process.
Awesome. So there are 3 foundational pillars for Ascentim. The first one is connections. Connections for us is all about people. It is about building and maintaining meaningful relationships with people, because I believe that just about everything that we'll ever have in this life is likely to come through another person. And so if you want to be successful, you have to get really good at relationships. The second area is careers. We are all about helping people to build a career and or a business that is impactful. And of course, you need people in order to grow and build your career. The third area is finances. Finances are critically important, as you well know, for living life on your own terms, so that when you're ready to retire, you can do that. If you want to change career tracks, you can do that because you're not concerned about your finances. We put them all together, and we believe that those 3 pillars working together are the foundation for growth and success in life.
Well, you got it. And they're all so interdependent. And of course, we're a money show. And I'm thinking people like to increase their wealth, increase their financial well-being. And you probably need to have a better career or a more impactful career or a higher paying career. And how do you get that without having the right connections? And I like how you talked about the careers, especially. I was just on LinkedIn yesterday and saw somebody was posting that they they got a new job. So they're starting a new job. That's a common thing on LinkedIn. And in her post, she said, I want to thank my career coach. And so good for her for getting a career coach. And I read a little bit more of her post. And then I looked at her profile and I saw that this new role was probably a step up financially and definitely more of a specialization. She was maybe more broad-based as a marketing individual, more broad-based, and really got into a specialization that looked to be a step up. So I imagine her career coach probably helped her figure out which areas do you want to focus in on, and let's target some different places to find that area. And of course, I'd be willing to bet her connections helped her get that.
Absolutely. They all work together. Many financial coaches, and I just so happen to be a Ramsey Master Certified Financial Coach. But what I've found is that many financial coaches omit the top line of the finances, which is your revenue. They do a great job with helping people to create budgets and build a plan for achieving a number of financial goals. But you can only restrict your spending to a point. When you're going to come to a certain point where you just have to make more money and bring more into the top line if you're going to achieve massive growth in your finances. And having people to help you do that a financial planner, a financial coach, insurance, and other professionals in finances are critical as well. The same applies with your career. Like the person you mentioned who got a promotion, new job, making more money, a lot of career coaches, they'll help you find that great job and one that fits your skills and strengths, but they don't talk about what to do with the extra money that you're making. And so at Ascentim, we believe in pulling it all together, having the right people so that you have the influence that you need to create the career that you want, which is your way of making an impact on the world, and so that you have the money that you need to live life on your own terms. And that's all about your income.
Yeah, you get it. And you got your process, a GROW process. And like all good processes, it's a acronym. It stands for something. Tell us about that.
Yeah. At Ascentim, we say, here you grow. And grow for us means to gain insight. That is the first step in growing, to really understand and have insight into your life, your goals, what you're trying to accomplish. When you gain insight, the next step then is for us a visioning process, which is all about realizing new possibilities. That insight allows you to think about new areas to explore, places and things that maybe you haven't considered before. And that is that realizing opportunities, are the R in the GROW. From there, we start to create a plan to achieve this vision that you've realized for yourself. And naturally in life, there are going to be obstacles. And so the O is all about overcoming those obstacles and really planning for them so that you're not surprised or caught off guard when you run into something that may be an obstacle to the plan that you've envisioned for your life. And lastly, the W is winning at life. That winning in life is measuring your results, tracking how you're performing towards your goals, going back through the process again as often as you need to, because you don't just achieve one level and then stop growing. At Ascentim, it is about continuous process of growth, a continuous process of leveling up in life so that you so that you're never stagnant. Let's say it that way. Growth is a continuous process of ascending and reaching new levels and new heights throughout the various areas of your life.
You got it. Well, that's great. So gain clarity, realize new possibilities, overcome obstacles, win at life. And you do that through a coaching framework. And of course, everyone's kind of used to a coach for your athletic sports, and they maybe know that the CEO of their company has a coach, some sort of a business coach there. But what type of individual is usually reaching out to you to ask for your coaching?
Yeah, my ideal client and the folks that reach out to me tend to fall into a few categories. The first category is that they are high performing professionals. These are people who are already doing well in their life. We may think of them as people who've already arrived, and you might wonder, well, why would they need a coach? But coaching is for anyone who wants to succeed and be better in any area of their life. So it's those high performers that are doing well, but want to do better. They have this sense that there's something more, something greater for them. And they understand that coaching is one of the fastest ways to move from where they are now to where they really want to be. The second category of folks that come to me, I find that I tend to attract a lot of female leaders and minorities. It's not that I advertise or publicize that that's what I'm looking for, but I think we tend to attract who we are. And so I find that a lot of women leaders, and especially minorities, who may feel like they're stuck at a certain place in their career and they're looking for a way to break through and to be more authentically themselves and achieve the levels of success that they desire. I am a great coach for them because I have gone through that in my own career and can help them through our GROW process to navigate their way to what's next.
Yeah. And
And
like I
finally,
said,
folks that want to improve their finances, they want to take control of their money. And we do that, as we talked about, by putting all those pieces together so that they are succeeding, not just with their money or their career, but in life more broadly.
yeah, I like how you said authentic self, because that's something that's so interesting that here I am in a suburban area. I'm a white male. There's a lot of things I maybe just don't think about because I haven't experienced it. And a cool thing, an interesting thing on LinkedIn lately I've been seeing is people who post a picture. They're saying, here's a picture with the hairstyle I have on the weekends. That's maybe more culturally their background compared to here's their prior picture, their profile picture. And they're celebrating that they feel the ability to be more authentic, and they're not maybe hiding how they would prefer to look just to kind of fit into some sort of stereotype on there. That I wasn't expecting to ask this question, but I'm just tell me a little bit about that, of how that experience goes through for someone that I didn't have to think about that, right? And other people
Yeah.
do get to
Yeah.
think
It's
about
just
that.
something that you're right. As a white male, it's not something that you have to ever be concerned about.
Mm-hmm.
But for many of us, I happen to be a Black female, and it's not just Blacks who are in corporate America, but other ethnicities. It could also be someone whose sexual preference is maybe different than what we think of as the majority. Anything that makes you different
Mm-hmm.
can be something that we feel like we need to hide or change or tone down to be more accepted and fit what we may think is the norm or the standard. However, that is absolutely exhausting. It is hard to do this code switching and changing, and where you show up one way Monday through Friday, and then you're different on the weekend. Or maybe it's even you show up differently from 8 to 6 and you're different every evening. That is tough. It's exhausting, and it's hard to be successful when you're doing that. What I found is much more effective is to really get comfortable with who you are, to be confident in your abilities and what you uniquely bring to the table, to operate in what I call your area of greatness. Because when you do that, when you show up authentically, when you're operating from your area of greatness, number one, there's no competition because there's only one you. There's only one person with your unique combination of strengths, passions, and purpose. And so that allows you to stand out. It also allows people to get to know you for who you really are, so that when they're thinking about promotion, or when they're thinking about who they want on their team, they have a much better understanding of who you really are and what they're getting when they bring you onto their team. And that, to me, is to be celebrated. The beauty of life is that we are diverse. People come in all shapes, sizes, colors, preferences, etc., and it's all necessary. And what I've also found is that if you take time to really get to know a person and really allow them to know you, what you most often discover is that you have more in common than you may realize or that can be seen on the surface.
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing a lot of that. I like your phrase too of operate in your area of greatness. And there's so many things that go into what makes up your area of greatness. So that's great. And what I love too is that you've got a process that's applicable to everyone. I mean, G.R.O.W. anybody can use. But like you said, there's people that are attracted to your process, perhaps because your background. So you've got a doubling of the area of greatness, which is helpful. And when people are working with you, the three things that we've talked about earlier is your career, your finances, your connections. Let's just go through some of that and find some tips, some ideas people can have to grow their career, grow their finances, grow their connections. So let's see, which one would you like to start with?
Let's start with connections. I think people are the foundation for the other two areas.
Great. Yeah. All right.
So tips around connecting. The first distinction that I like to make is between networking and connecting, because they're not the same. Networking is really about just knowing more people. So you think about traditional networking events, you go to an event, you pass out business cards. That's a little bit old school, but people are still doing that now, even virtually, where they're doing speed meetups and things like that. And it's really about knowing or expanding the number of people that you know. The difference between that and connecting is that building your connections is about knowing people more. So it's about getting to know them and allowing them to know you on a much more personal level. It requires that you invest time in developing that and nurturing that relationship. Connecting is so much more important because that's what gives you the influence that you need to build your career and your money. That connecting is what makes people motivated to act on your behalf. So because we're connected, I know who you are. I know what you stand for. I'm more likely to recommend you for an opportunity because I know you. People promote and hire people that they know, like, and trust. So connecting is about letting people get to know you, the real you.
Yeah, right on. And I love that that turn of phrase. I don't know if you came up with it, or like most good ideas that I have, I learned it from somebody else, where you said know more people is networking, but knowing people more is connecting. That's great. So I want to remember that one. And I'm thinking through recently, the last year or so, we've been looking to hire more people into our firm. And so I've been going to, we'll call them networking events, but that's what I've discovered is I've met some people. And when you say hi and you shake their hand, the first thing they do is they hand you a business card. Like, what's the, clearly they're just there as if they're thinking they get paid $1 every time they hand out a business card or something.
Yeah. So you have that big stack of business cards.
Yeah.
And then what?
Right. Yeah. It's interesting. And then, and I tell my wife all the time, like, actually, if you handing the business card over is a detriment, right? Because that it makes you feel like you did something, but you really didn't. If they were actually interested, they could find you. And if they actually were interested, they would connect with you. They would say, "Oh, look me up on LinkedIn or, on Facebook or whatever. And let's connect that way." They would kind of reverse it and ask for the connection compared to just politely take your business card to throw away at that time. And it's interesting too, when now these connections, I've met people that, and blatantly honest, that I'm looking for some people to work for our firm, and getting to know these different individuals I met at the networking events. They probably aren't looking. Most of them are not looking to switch their jobs or switch their career. Or if they are, they might not be looking to go directly to our firm. And yet we've had the ability to say, well, hey, based on what we talked about, here's some ideas and here's some connections to other people on there. And that's just good business, I suppose. And a word that we came up with while we were talking earlier is interdependence. I got to where I am because the people were helping me out with mentoring and coaching, and somebody could be at a higher level than I am, but it doesn't mean that I need to not mentor them. It means that I can still have an interdependence with them and offer ideas or make connections that they might not have, because clearly no one's going to have the exact same connections as I do, and vice versa. So I agree with you. That's the right place to start, is with the connections and the interdependence that people have, that you just can't do this alone, whatever this is.
That's right. And any, great endeavor is going to require support to bring it to life. It's just almost impossible to achieve massive growth and to do great, impactful things in the world and do that solo.
It's Jeremy Keil here, and I know you're listening to the Retirement Reveal podcast because you want to learn more about making great retirement decisions. I've created a free video course for you to do just that. Head over to 5stepretirementplan.com and sign up to receive this video training right in your email inbox. We broke down our 5-step retirement plan into bite-sized videos so you can get started on the retirement, investment, and tax planning you need to create a consistent retirement income. Go to 5stepretirementplan.com, use the number or spell it out. You'll get there either way. 5stepretirementplan.com. Thanks for listening, and now for the rest of the show. Well, good. And then the next one there, I'm going to assume is career. How's that sound? We'll go with that
Career.
one.
Yeah, let's talk about career. And so for me, career is inclusive of, think of it as the work that you do that generates the income that you earn.
Mm-hmm.
And so that could be anything. You could be working for a nonprofit, you could be a business owner, you could be working in corporate America like I did for many years. But growing your career, first of all, as we said, you need people to grow your career, and those connections are essential to that. I tell people that one of the things that they need to do if they're going to grow their career is to build their personal board of advisors. That's the team of people, and there are, different roles that you need to fill on that board, so to speak, that help you throughout your career to grow it. So you need mentors, for example. You need someone who is a sponsor. That's very different than a mentor. Your mentor is someone who is going to help give you guidance on a specific area that they have expertise in. So if I want to be a better speaker, I can find a mentor who's an excellent speaker who can give me some guidance in that area. A sponsor is a person who has what I would call the juice. They have the influence, the power, the juice to be able to hire you directly or to recommend that you be hired. They lend you their credibility and their influence to help you get what you need in your career. And that's not something that you can just go up and say to someone, hey, will you sponsor me? That is something that you earn by, one, doing an excellent job, by two, being great at connecting and building relationships, and three, operating in your area of greatness so that you stand out. So what's your area of greatness? That is the place where three things coincide. One, your strengths. That's all of those things that you are just great at doing, your natural abilities, as well as those that you have acquired over time through working. The second area is your passion. That's what you love to do, the things that you enjoy. And so you want to put the things that you're good at doing together with the things that you enjoy doing so that you're working in an area that's fun, so to speak. The third area, and it's the one that I think is most often overlooked, is your purpose. You want your strengths, your passions, and your purpose to all coincide. The purpose is your why. That's the thing that excites you. That's the reason why you exist, and it's the impact or the change that you want to have and see in the world. So if you're operating in the place that you are most passionate about, that uses your strengths and allows you to achieve your why, that's your area of greatness. And that's a unique place for each of us. When you operate from that place, that's your most authentic version of yourself. That is your secret sauce and allows you to stand out and be seen. People will take notice of you. You're more impactful when you're operating from that place. And that's what will get you sponsored.
Yeah, well, that's great. I'm realizing now how fortunate I've been over some time here. And you don't know that, but you're about to find out that this is the first week of the 20th year of me being a financial advisor. And so that hit year 19. And so be year 20. So this is the first, next year, this is the first week of the 20th year of me being a financial advisor. And I've been talking with my wife a lot lately, kind of about that. Like for some reason, it just hit me that, oh my goodness, it's the 20th year. That's just crazy to me. But a lot of it had to do, the fact of where I am, a lot of it had to do with someone that was a mentor and was a sponsor. And I didn't really know that term, but you're right on. This person, he had the juice. Like he had a lot of credibility. He was, kind of the second in command in the area for where I had started. And thankfully, I had done, by an accident, I think, of earned some ability to be sponsored by him. I was just newly out of college, was able to pass tests easily because I was somebody that had a lot of time. You don't have a lot of clients when you're 22 starting out. But I thought, what am I good at? Well, I'm good at passing tests. I'm good at researching. And so I just went up to him and said, hey, how can I help? What can I do? And so whenever a client called in with like a spreadsheet question, I just build a spreadsheet for him. Or he was looking into something and, he's been around for a while, so he's a busy person. He'd say, hey, can you look into this for me? I would just look into it, and I enjoyed it. And so it was just a fortunate. I was not intentional. Thankfully, it was, thankfully I stumbled into it, that I had a passion, had some strengths. And because of that really earned the ability to be sponsored by this person. And you could just see the doors that were opened by being connected with him. And so that's a big part of it. And unfortunately, he's passed on a few years from now. So it makes it even more kind of meaningful and in remembrance of why we're talking about him in my family, at least lately.
Well, congratulations on 20 years. That's awesome. That speaks to the power of what happens when you are operating in that area that is your place of greatness. So congratulations on that.
Yeah, thank you. I will probably avoid telling my wife that I have an area of greatness right now. Maybe that'll be that. I don't want to walk home with a puffed up chest, but I'll take it right now. Thank you, Lisa.
I have a feeling she already knows.
Okay, all right, right on. Awesome. Well, the last part of it is the finances, because if you're working on your offense in your career, you probably need to play some defense with your finances. I just read in the Wall Street Journal just in the last week, they said, so I made $400,000 last year. Where did it all go? Which for the vast majority of Americans are thinking, are you crazy? You made $400,000 and you don't know where the money went, but allegedly that's a situation. So tell us about the finances.
That is absolutely a situation that many people experience. They're like, I made a lot of money. What happened? And one of the things that I tell all of my clients, especially those that are focusing on their finances, is that you must have a plan. You must have a budget. It is not optional. It's not nice to have. It is critical to your financial success. Your budget is the way that you tell your money what to do. And I say it this way: tell your money where to go so you don't have to wonder where it went. Mm-hmm. Every dollar that you earn should have an assignment. That means there's no free money, there's no extra money, there's no bonus dollars. Every dollar that comes into your hand should be assigned to something. And the way you assign that is in your budget. So that's all the normal things that we typically think of budgeting for, our housing expense, our debt, utilities, all of those things. Those are naturally, we think of those. But you also want to budget for those things that are future goals. For example, maybe you're planning next year to take a family vacation and you want to spend $5,000 on that vacation. You're going to want to budget each month a certain amount of money toward that future vacation. That way, when the time comes to plan that trip, you already have the money set aside for it. So you're not going into debt for it, or you're not caught off guard. You want to put some money aside for just savings, for emergencies, because life happens. Things are going to come up that you can't plan for, that you didn't expect, but you can put money aside in advance so that you're prepared for it. For example, my car was parked outside of a personal training gym where I work out. I hear this commotion. I go outside. It turns out that someone had broken the passenger side window of my car, reached inside the car and took my wallet. I didn't realize that I'd left my wallet in the car or that it was visible, but it was, and someone broke into the car. That's an air quote emergency. There's no way I could have anticipated that I would need to replace a window, have the car cleaned out, all of that. But when you have money set aside for emergencies like that, what could be a crisis merely is an inconvenience, because you have the money, you take care of it. The reality, though, is most Americans can't afford even a small emergency. Every year, the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve does a study around the economic well-being of U.S. households. And year after year, that study continues to affirm that nearly 40% of Americans cannot afford even a small disruption in their finances. Small is defined as $400. So what that means is something like a broken window, which costs $400 or more to replace. If I don't have that money saved, that means I have to go into debt, I have to borrow it, or in some cases, those things just don't get taken care of because the money isn't there.
Yeah, we've seen those. We've seen those cars with the garbage bag on the window,
right?
Which is horrible, and you hate to see that. But that's somebody that unfortunately had a bad experience, probably not their fault. But in your case, you're able to take that situation and you went down the path of inconvenience, which I think is the preferred path compared to crisis. Right. You could have been there with the unfixed window, the plastic bag in the window, or the credit card bill that's growing at 20%. And I think that's exactly why. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the Dave Ramsey steps. The first step is get $1,000.
That's right. Get your a beginner emergency fund is called. Ideally, your fully funded emergency fund. You want to have, I would say, a minimum 6 months of your expenses, or you can think of it as just 6 months of your salary put aside in an emergency fund. So that means you likely have more than enough to cover, certainly that small inconvenient $400 emergency. You also, larger things. You're not caught off guard by it because you've got the money there to take care of it. So that is the first step, is to save just at least $1,000 in your emergency fund. And then as you work the other steps, you can get to fully funding it so that you have more set aside. The reality is when you have money saved, it just seems that those emergencies happen less frequently, like they don't come up. I don't know why that is, except to say that maybe people who are planning and following a path or a process for their life or for their finances, because they're disciplined in that area, they're likely disciplined in other areas and are less likely to experience those sort of random emergencies.
Again, just showing how everything's interconnected for sure. Oh, great. Well, Lisa, thanks for coming on, because you are helping out so many of us with the idea of going through a GR.O.W process. And obviously it's going to work out better to have a coach, a guide that brings you through it, someone that holds you accountable. But that GR.O.W process, again, was gain clarity, realize new possibilities, overcome obstacles, and win at life. And you've got your three areas with focusing on your career and your finances and your connections, and appreciate your tips that you gave us for each of those areas. That'll be very helpful.
Thanks for having me on. It's a pleasure to be here. I could talk about these things all day. This is my passion, and it utilizes my strengths, and it certainly aligns to my purpose in life. My goal is to, within the next 5 years, to help 5,000 people discover their area of greatness and operate in it.
That's great. I like that goal. And I obviously, I'm going to say congrats for starting a business that's directly in your area of greatness. And how would people reach out to your business?
Yeah, so there are a number of ways to connect. You can find me on LinkedIn and connect personally. I am Lisa L. Baker on LinkedIn. You can also follow Ascentim on Facebook and Instagram at Ascentim. That's the easiest way to find me. And of course, Ascentim.com. I love making networking with people and making real connections. So reach out anytime.
Absolutely. And thank you for connecting with us. We'll make sure all those connection points are in the show notes. So thank you, Lisa, for coming on out. And thank you for listening to the Retirement Revealed podcast. We believe if you know more about your money, you will feel better about your money and you'll make better money decisions.
Thank you for listening to the Retirement Revealed podcast. Click on the subscribe button below to be notified when new episodes become available. Visit retirement-revealed.com to learn more. The information covered and posted represents the views and opinions of the guest and does not necessarily represent the views or opinions of Keil Financial Partners. Keil Financial Partners does not provide legal, accounting, or tax advice. Consult your attorney or tax professional. Representatives have general knowledge of the Social Security tenets. For complete details on your situation, contact the Social Security Administration. Keil Financial Partners is a part of the Thrivent Advisor Network, a registered investment advisor. The content has been made available for informational and educational purposes only. The content is not intended to be a substitute for professional investing advice. Always seek the advice of your financial advisor or other qualified financial service provider with any questions you may have regarding your investment planning.